Indiana lawmaker targets furries in schools. Schools say there's no problem. This is too funny to me. I literally just read the headline of it. Literally, it's 2 sentences and you get the full picture of how much of a non-issue this is. Indiana lawmaker targets furries in schools. Schools say there's no problem. See what I mean? They're just focusing their time on things that aren't a problem and honestly probably don't exist. Oh my god. This could have just been the article. No joke. Anyways, let's read through it. A bill working through the Indiana Senate would reiterate that schools are allowed to enforce dress codes and curb disruptive behavior to address concerns about students identifying as furries. It follows a nationwide wave of claims. None proven. Just had to add that in there. Major claims, none of them proven, that students are dressing and acting like animals in classrooms. Indiana Senate Jeff Ratz, R. Richmond, authored Senate Bill 380. The Various Education Matters Bill makes changes to how the state calculates high school graduation rates and then also includes this line. A school corporation may adopt a policy concerning student dress code or disruptive behavior. When introducing the bill in the Senate's Education Committee, which Ratz chairs, he said it was to address concerns about students who may be imitating or were behaving like a furry. Furries live so rent-free in their head that they're like, you could be a furry. No, you could. You could be behaving like, are you a furry? They are so outraged by people they believe to exist. And we apparently live rent-free in their head so much to this point. And it's not even us! Like, we're not the problem! So let's keep going. Essentially, what this signals to school corporations is that through the dress code, you have the ability to drive how students dress, he said. Cat litter boxes in schools? Tony Dungy apologized for a tweet that sparked outrage and backlash. Parents and school employees brought the complaints to him, Ratz said, declining to name their districts or schools in an interview with IndyStar. The bill does not require schools to make changes, he said, but reinforces the idea that they can. School corporations already have the right to create and enforce a dress code, as many do. Ratz said this line was added to a different section of code, that governing the duty and powers of school corporations to supervise and discipline students, and the wording slightly different from the section of law that already allows schools to implement dress codes. Indiana Schools says it's not an issue. So the big argument, which it's more been on like, allegedly furries are a problem in schools, and then schools' actual presentation of this. IndyStar hasn't been able to find evidence of an Indiana school district actually reporting that students are dressing as animals. That should be it. That literally should be it. And you can come to the conclusion that whatever you may have it. But it's just... Let's keep going. An online search turned up no verified reports of furries in schools here, nor did requests sent to several districts. Representatives of Westfield, Washington schools and the districts in South Bend, Fort Wayne, Lawrence Township, and Wayne Township said it has not been a problem in their classrooms. We are not aware of any students dressing as furries or animals during the school day in the MSD of Wayne Township, said Jeff Butts. Butts! I love people with Butts as their last name. I can only think, like, when they're in the office, say, like, Jeff Butts has a boss or something. Someone in the office, their boss in the office is like, get me Butts! You! Get me Butts! I'm not making fun of him or anything. I'm just pointing out the last name because I'm a child. Either way, let's keep going. The district superintendent... Oh, so the district superintendent verified it to an extent. Either way, let's keep going. Hamilton Southeastern Schools said the biggest issue they've dealt with around furries is the time it takes to combat untrue rumors. Wow, who would have thought? The actual problem is the misinformation. Wow! Amazing, isn't it? What a shocker. I couldn't have possibly imagined that it would have come to this. I've been bamboozled. I love how it's just, it takes a turn of like, wait a minute, the actual thing that they've had trouble dealing with regards to furries is the misinformation or the untrue rumors behind it. Like the litter box thing. All of this is just allegedly as of right now. We have not had disruptions that I am aware of with students acting out as furries, said Emily Pace Abbott, HSE spokesperson. This overall issue, I believe, stemmed from national media, also spread that schools had litter boxes in their restrooms. This is not true for Hamilton Southeastern schools, and is worrisome that people would believe such. Wow. Oh man, what a shocker. What a surprise. The district already has a dress code in its student handbook to limit clothing distractions. I'm assuming that would be, you know, wearing any fursuit tails, furry tails, or like furry ears or anything. You know how some people wear the ears. I think it's a nice touch, but also it's limiting that. What else could it be? What could like clothing distraction be? Because I could only think of it as like actual like fursuits. Same thing with like furry ears. Or like the tail, like a furry tail or something. That technically would count as like a clothing distraction, which I feel like has been in place since like I've been in school, you know? Like when I was in school, like you couldn't wear like anything worse than that or anything beyond that. Collars, that too. Yeah, you know, collars, I forgot about that. But then again, I think that would also qualify as, well, it does qualify as distracting clothing. Either way, let's keep going. So we talked about clothing distractions. What more is there here? Kim Patterson, a middle school teacher in rural Howard County, said there are no furries in schools there either. Patterson is an Indiana State Teachers Association board member. Only furry kids I see are high school boys who don't shave. I mean, that's kind of the point to some extent of like the furry hobby is like a lot of times in school, you don't really go around like saying it or anything. It's just like supposed to be an offhand hobby that you have. You can be expressive like, oh, this is a thing that I do. But at the same time, you know, like it also shows that teachers are just kind of doing their thing, at least here with Kim. Like she's just doing her thing. And she's like, that's the only thing I see that's furry are the high school boys who don't shave. Like, jeez, Kim. Last fall, several people came to an Evansville-Vandenberg School Corporation board meeting. Jeez, could they make these names even longer? Why corporation? It's a school. Unless. The Evansville Courier and Press reported to raise concerns that the district was allowing students to dress and behave as animals, even providing litter boxes in bathrooms. Where did they get this information? Hopefully we'll find out. There are no litter boxes in our schools, period. There never will be. Evansville Superintendent David Smith said after that meeting. Was the meeting just with regards to this? There's gotta be some video about it. If the meeting was longer than 5 minutes, I'd be concerned. Literally, the whole thing could be answered with that. And they probably sat there for what would have been like maybe what? How long are school meetings? 30 minutes, hour, maybe more? Just to talk about rumors with this? And then he answered it directly? There are no litter boxes in our schools, period. Let's keep going then. What's a furry? At the heart of the rumors, repeated by conservative politicians and commentators nationwide, is the idea that schools are letting children identify as animals as an extension of allowing them to choose their own gender identity independent of the one assigned at birth. But remember when I said that this whole thing with the litter boxes, you know, people being up in arms about schools having litter boxes in their bathrooms when there is really no proof of it, and there never have been litter boxes in the schools. Remember when I said that it felt like, to an extent, concealed hatred towards the LGBT? Or concealed transphobia? Why does this all seem like it seems like a puzzle? You know, like puzzle pieces are coming together now, and you're like, oh, you're getting the orientation of it. Oh, you're getting how it is. What I'm getting at here, and this might be a bit more, you know, allegedly. Furry is very LGBT oriented. Like, it is a very, very big, like, supportive group and supportive subculture for LGBTQIA+. So that's why I'm thinking, even just based on that basis, that the hatred towards furries in this case, or the being up in arms about litter boxes and furries and acting like a furry, because I don't think anyone is actually doing that in schools. I think in reality, it is just a ploy. It is just concealed hatred towards the LGBT. And I think they're being coy isn't the word to use. They're being a bit concealing of it. It's just this last, you know, that really makes it sound like, ooh, so we're finally getting to the part of it that you don't like. If they put litter boxes in school, then I'm bringing my cat to school every day. See, that's the only benefit I'd see from it. Like, that's, I wouldn't be like, litter boxes. I'd be like, yo, I get to bring my cat to school? I love cats. I love my cat. Do I get to see other cats too? That would make school so much better. Are you kidding me? This is just silly. This whole thing is silly. But you can see where this is like eventually leading up to, okay, this is what they actually mean. Allegedly, by the way. But let's keep reading. According to Fur Science, a team of scientists studying the furry fandom, the term furry describes a diverse community of fans, artists, writers, gamers, and role players. Most furries create for themselves an anthropomorphized animal character with whom they identify. This is actually, I think, the exact definition that they use for what it means to be a furry, or what a furry means. Some furries wear elaborate costumes or paraphernalia such as animal ears or tails, like I was saying, somewhat with the dress code thing, or represent themselves as anthropomorphic animals in online communities. While a small percentage of those surveyed think they have a deeper connection to animals, the vast majority do not identify as animal. Though many self-identifying furries are teenagers and young adults, according to data collected by Fur Science, it doesn't mean that all students who wear a headband with cat ears on it, popular accessory among kids sold at major retailers, part of the furry community. Everything I just read is a non-issue, and I feel like is made up. Not with regards to the whole furry thing, but more so just the problem here being that furries are bad and people acting like furries in school. There's no place for that. To be honest, I don't think furries actually do that. You know, maybe I can see, in like a perfect world, I could see them potentially being like, hey, you know, the cat ears and the tails count as distractive clothing. Let's use this bill to potentially remind schools, hey, you can enforce dress code to this extent. However, the dress code has already been there for that, I believe. And now we're getting to the point where, oh, okay, this is a bit more charged in a way. This is a bit more charged. Because I don't think it takes a genius to recognize that furries are very supportive of the LGBTQIA+. I think a majority of us, or not a majority, but a good chunk of us, a good chunk of furries identify as LGBT. And in a sense, furry is a support subculture for that. Doesn't take, you know, a rocket scientist to figure it out. And I feel like after a year of this litter box thing being a thing, and it already being said as like, there are no litter boxes in the schools. It's been a year since that whole thing started, and it's still, to an extent, going, with that being the root cause, when there's been no actual, like, proof of that being a thing. So it makes me think, one, is this a created issue from nothing? Probably. Second, what are the actual intentions behind it? Overall, I just think this is absolutely absurd.